Hey everyone, in this video we'll be studying about the hormonal disorders. This is the part 2 of this hormonal disorders, and here we'll start by studying about the catecholamines. So catecholamines are nothing but adrenaline and noradrenaline secreted by the adrenal medulla due to the stimulation from adrenocorticotropic hormone secreted by the pituitary. These act on heart, liver, blood cells, and blood vessels, and so on. So as I said in that adrenal gland video, that it acts increases heartbeat, pump volume, increases blood sugar levels, and increases the blood pressure. So it acts on blood vessels to do that. Heart, it increases heart palpitations, and liver for blood glucose. These are emergency hormones and generate fight or flight response in normal quantities. If in case if in case too much of this is secreted by the adrenal gland, this causes catecholamines toxicity. So, catecholamines toxicity is nothing but too much of catecholamines being circulated in the blood. So, what this does is it causes heart palpitations, sweating, hypertension. Hypertension is very high blood pressure. And because this normally it functions on the heart, liver, and blood vessels, it does excess of that. And this is due to a very rare cancer of adrenal gland called pheochromocytoma. And in too low quantities, it causes anxiety, depression, migraine, and sleep disorders. This is due to stress and inadequate nutrition. Anxiety and depression, as we know, are problems with our mental health. So, anxiety is being on edge or always being on high alert. Depression is sense of sadness or hopelessness. That is another concept. And migraine is a very severe headache. Sleep disorders, it can be insomnia, etc. Then we have the corticoids. Corticoids are nothing but these are the hormones that are secreted by the adrenal cortex. It can be gluco and mineral corticoids. These act on heart, kidney, and gut. So, usually heart and gut are affected by the glucocorticoids. So, glucocorticoids are cortisol, the main important one. Then kidney is actually affected by mineral corticoids. Mineral corticoids, aldosterone, the main one. This affects the carbohydrate metabolism and electrolyte water balance. This actually in normal amounts has normal osmotic pressure. It helps in maintaining normal osmotic pressure in our body, normal blood pressure, normal body volume. And if it is secreted in too much of quantity, this happens. So Cushing's syndrome. Cushing's syndrome is a disorder that occurs when too much of cortisol is released into the blood. Now, what are the symptoms of this is there is excess of body fat in the upper body. There is a lump of fat between the shoulders and rounded face is seen. Then the purple and bluish stretch marks are seen on the body. Obesity and anorexia. Anorexia is an eating disorder. This is due to TB, tuberculosis, or inflammation of pituitary gland. If it is in too low quantities, glucocorticoid deficiency is seen. Glucocorticoids. Glucocorticoid deficiency, again, it causes its own symptoms. Then Addison's disease and hypoaldosteronism is seen. So Addison's disease can be deficiency of both cortisol and mineral corticoids. Hypoaldosteronism, as we discussed, hypoaldosteronism is the aldosterone is in very less quantities. If aldosterone is in less quantities, what happens is there is hyponatremia or low sodium levels, hypercalcemia, hyperkalemia, hyperkalemia is high potassium levels in the body. So there is pigmentation on the skin. In both of these, there is pigmentation on skin. This is one of the major indications of this disease. This can be genetic due to medications, diabetes, kidney disease, and so on. Then we have the luteinizing hormone. Luteinizing hormone is secreted by the pituitary gland by the stimulation from luteinizing hormone releasing hormone. This acts on the gonads, both ovaries and testes. It controls function of gonads in women. So the functioning of ovaries is controlled. Production of estradiol. This is secreted by the ovary in the menstrual cycle. ovulation and sustains the corpus luteum. Corpus luteum we discussed is a temporary endocrine gland for the secretion of progesterone. In men, it stimulates secretion of testosterone. So, testosterone is secreted by the Leydig cells. Luteinizing hormone acts on the Leydig cells. Leydig cells are the cells present between the seminiferous tubules. It acts on that and helps in secretion of androgens, especially testosterone. Normal reproductive functions are seen when this is secreted. If it is secreted in too high quantities, infertility can be seen. So, LH is a hormone that affects the functioning and fertility of a person. But if too much of it is secreted, it disrupts other hormones that we'll study later, like estrogen, testosterone, etc. So this can cause infertility. This is due to a condition called PCOD or PCOS, that is polycystic ovarian syndrome. So in that what happens, ovaries develop small cysts that can be seen in a scan. And what these do is, this is actually one of the symptoms, but there is a very big hormonal imbalance in the body. So insulin, etc., is a person becomes insulin resistant. They have diabetic symptoms, and then they have this LH imbalance. They can also have thyroid imbalance or adrenal imbalance. Then we have Turner and Klinefelter. So Turner syndrome and Klinefelter are genetic syndrome. So they are genetic disorders. So here what happens is, these are due to chromosomal aberrations. So what is chromosomal aberration? Is a problem with the chromosomal setup. So in Turner syndrome, this occurs in women. So women usually have a composition of chromosomes as X and X. So on our DNA, the sex chromosomes are X and X. But in this Turner syndrome, what happens is, there is presence of only one X chromosome, X and O. So this O is nothing but absence of another X chromosome. And Klinefelter is seen in men. So men usually have X and Y, right? In Klinefelter, another X is present, X, X and Y. So they have two X and one Y. So in Turner, what happens is, there is lack of feminine features, like sterility is seen because of absence of the sex chromosome. This can cause problems with the LH. And again in Klinefelter, the same thing, sterility is seen. So they are infertile. Again, if it is too low, infertility, and again because of the same conditions. These conditions can cause too low or too high LH. Infections can cause the lowering of LH, and also eating disorders. Then we have the FSH or follicle stimulating hormone. This is secreted by the pituitary due to the stimulation of gonadotrophin releasing hormone, acts on the gonads and causes growth of follicles in ovary. So ovary, we have a follicle, grows to the size, causes ovulation, becomes corpus luteum, then either menstrual cycle or fertilization has to occur. So then this is growth of follicle, steady production of testosterone. So there is steady production of testosterone due to this FSH. Normal menstrual cycle, normal functioning of sex organs. Too much can cause again infertility, and this is again due to ovarian malfunction, Klinefelter Turnus. So again ovary can have any damage or infection, anything happens, this becomes too much. And also if it is too low, again it causes infertility due to poor development of ovary, lack of sperm and delayed puberty. This happens in Kallman's syndrome. This is a disorder. Then we have the testosterone. The testosterone is secreted by the Leydig cells, cells present between the seminiferous tubules due to the luteinizing hormone. It helps in development of voice box, muscle anabolism, accessory organs are developed. Development of accessory sex organs, muscle development, normal male body functions and appearance, that is facial hair, body hair, etc. Acne, aggressiveness, sleep apnea. If it is too much, acne can occur. So too much of testosterone can cause acne, too much of aggressiveness, sleep apnea, increased muscle mass and low sperm count and shrunken testes. So low sperm count is seen if it is too much is present. Too much testosterone can cause all these symptoms. And this is due to either testicular or adrenal tumors. So as I said earlier, adrenal gland also produces some amount of androgens. So if tumors are present in adrenal gland or testicular testes, what happens is too much of testosterone is produced. If it is too low, there is loss of libido, loss of motivation and sleep, weight gain is seen, osteoporosis is seen, infertility and depression is seen. So obviously it causes all the opposite of whatever testosterone does. So it actually causes depression and so on. Usually depression is seen most common whenever testosterone is less in the body. So this is due to testicular failure. Testicular failure is nothing but if there is a kind of trauma or infection to the testes, they get damaged and fail to produce hormones. Excessive exercise, malnutrition and hormonal imbalances. Again, any imbalance with other hormones can cause this. Then we have estrogen. Now, estrogen is present in women. So, they are produced by the follicles. Maturing follicles produce estrogen, again due to the function of LH and FSH. So, fat cells, and it acts on the fat cells, metabolism and accessory organs, that is the breasts and external genitalia. Development of mammary glands, feminine appearance, fat distribution. So it contributes to development of breasts, then feminine appearance and proper fat distribution, which gives the feminine body structure is due to this estrogen. Normal feminine development in menses occur when this is in normal quantities. If it is in too much quantities, PMS, mood swings, then irregular periods and hot flashes and endometriosis is seen. So PMS is premenstrual disorder and this can have a variety of symptoms. Irregular periods and hot flashes are seen. Endometriosis is nothing but you have uterus, right? So in the uterus, so this is the uterus and here there is a muscle layer. Then inside this we have a vascular layer. This is the innermost layer. This is nothing but the endometrium. And this endometrium is the one that gets developed when progesterone is secreted by corpus luteum. And it is due to, because the zygote has to embed here in this region. So for that to embed here, this develops into a very highly vascularized structure. There is blood supply and so on. What happens is in endometriosis, this endometrium should be present inside the uterus, but endometriosis, what happens is endometrial tissue develops outside the uterus. So somewhere in the abdomen it will develop. It will grow normally as it does in the uterus. And when menstrual cycle actually finishes or periods have to occur, the flow has to occur, there is excessive pain in the abdomen is experienced by the person. And there is severe bowel problems or gut problems are experienced. Then this is due to chronic stress. That is, too much of stress can cause this problem. Poor gut or liver health. So poor stomach, like your poor intestinal flora and fauna. So if that is disturbed, then what happens? Poor gut health occurs. Then poor liver health and xenoestrogens, lack of ovulation. This can cause the too much of estrogen. If there is too little, there is urinary tract infections, irregular periods, mood swings, hot flashes, breast tenderness, and depression. So UTI is the urinary tract infection, very common if there is hormonal imbalance. Ovarian cyst, this is due to ovarian cysts. Again, we discussed earlier in polycystic ovarian syndrome. That is, polycystic is different, but this is another condition where cysts are seen in the ovary. Hormonal issues, genetics, and eating disorders. So usually what happens is too much of estrogen actually is happens due to too much of body weight as well. Like if there is too much of fat in the body, what happens is this estrogen is secreted in a very high quantity and all these symptoms can occur. Then we have the progesterone. Progesterone is secreted by the corpus luteum, a very temporary endocrine gland, due to LH and FSH action. This acts on the mammary glands and uterus. It helps in maintenance of pregnancy and mammary gland division. So helps in division of alveoli in the mammary gland. So more alveoli are present and they help in preparation of the pregnancy. So helps in maintenance of pregnancy. So this endometrial wall that we discussed, it helps in maintaining that. Normal maintenance of pregnancy. If too much is seen, this is seen in pregnancy, then fluid retention, bloating, breast tenderness, mood swings, depressions, muscle weakness, so on is seen. So fluid retention happens because it is one of the problems with progesterone. It actually retains fluid in the body. So in pregnancy also you might have seen people become very swollen, and bloating is seen. Bloating is because it impairs the gut function. So to help in more mineral absorption, the intestinal functions are slowed down by this progesterone. This causes bloating. And breast tenderness, because there is rapid division of the mammary gland, breast tenderness happens. Then mood swings, depression, it acts on the central nervous system and causes this. Muscle weakness and vaginal dryness. Vaginal dryness is due to lack of estrogen. When progesterone is more, estrogen decreases. High body temperature, fatigue, and no libido. So lack of libido, because no estrogen is there, libido is absent, and UTIs are seen because of the hormonal imbalances. This happens in pregnancy, smoking, caffeine, hormonal replacement therapy. So some people don't have this hormone, they are actually given it artificially. So this causes too much of hormones and causes these symptoms. Adrenal hyperplasia, ovarian tumors. If it is too low, hot flashes, menstrual cramps occur, fibrocystic breasts, infertility, and so on. And actually menstrual flow occurs due to decrease or lack of this hormone. Lack of ovulation, poor egg quality, and chronic stress cause these symptoms. Then we have the prolactin hormone. Prolactin means pro means for, lactin is for milk. So it helps in secretion of milk. This is again done by the thyrotropin releasing hormone that actually stimulates TSH, stimulates prolactin release. This acts on the mammary glands. Now this is secreted by the pituitary itself, right? And this acts on the mammary glands and helps in secretion of milk in the alveoli. Normal secretion is seen. If too much is present, excess milk production is seen in men and non-pregnant women. This is due to a tumor called prolactinoma. And if there is too low, delayed puberty and menstrual disorders and inadequate lactation is seen. This is due to hypopituitary anterior pituitary failure. So failure means again any trauma to it can cause abnormal functions. Then we have the final hormone, that is the oxytocin. Now this is secreted because of the neural function. So as I said, if this is also known as the birth hormone, this is known as the love hormone. So what happens is when a person is close to their loved ones, this hormone is secreted. So even when a mother holds her child, this hormone is secreted, and this helps in contraction of the mammary glands to expel milk. And also, if a mother reaches her full term, the baby has reached its full growth size. It moves inside the womb. So that's womb stretches, right? And that signals the pituitary gland to produce this oxytocin. And even when the baby actually sucks on the mother's nipples, that also produces this oxytocin and helps in expulsion of milk. So it contracts smooth muscles, that is the muscles of uterus, and it acts on the uterus for birth of the baby. Generates an emotional response. Too much or too little, it does not affect any normal functioning of the body, and that is not clear yet. So these were the hormonal disorders. If you have any doubt, you can ask in the comment section. So these are all the hormonal disorders and all the symptoms and causes of hormonal disorders. Thank you.